Hi, everybody. I'm Christy with Teacher Christy Enterprises, and I just wanted to pop on here for a moment to let you know what we are all about. And I'm very excited to launch this project. And um, so people wonder why I focus on early childhood. When I first came to China, it was really hard for me to understand because I do have a lot of education and degrees and all of that stuff, but I never really cared about that. And I wasn't used to people saying, well, show me all of your documentation. So once I would dig everything out and give it to them, they always wanted to put me in higher levels. They wanted to say, oh, you need to go and, you need the higher grade classes. You don't need the little kids. The little kids are for the new teachers to practice on because that's not important. The higher levels are where we need experienced people because that's important. And I was very stunned to learn that this was just a typical way um, of teaching. So I would, politely say, no, I'm not leaving the early years because that is where it is important. And so this is why Teacher Christy Enterprises took the umbrella and put all of the trainings and professional development, the library, all of this stuff underneath that one umbrella so that we can provide you with everything that you need to be a successful parent, teacher, future parent, caregiver, nanny, whatever you want to be in the future. Um, so that you can be successful at it and so that the children can have a happier and healthier foundation to deal with their problems as they get older. Um, there's a lot of adult trauma, there's a lot of high school trauma, there's a lot of college trauma, and it all stems back to the foundation, which is early childhood. So if we can build that good foundation, we can catch and fix a lot of the problems that people as adults encounter. And wouldn't that be great to grow up and not need counseling or not feel like you are so different that you don't belong or not wonder, was that normal for that to happen to me? You know, so a lot of this trauma and these experiences and these feelings that we have as adults, they do go back to early childhood. So that is why early childhood is so important. And so I'm just in my workroom. Actually, my whole apartment has turned into a workroom. My front room is now my painting studio, where I do self-care and I paint. I create in there, but in here, this is where I put all of the creations together, bookbinding and things like that. I'm very happy to say that we can now print and bind the books so they don't have to be sent out. So that means that there's no extra cost attached to the book. So let me show you what I am talking about whenever I talk about early childhood. So when we talk about early childhood and we talk about the programs that I offer and the classes that I teach for adults, we're talking about how do we test children? How do we know if they are on track? There is the ASQ, which is the Ages and Stages questionnaire. There's the ASQ for development, and then there's the ASQ for social emotional. And yes, social emotional is very, very important. It starts even newborns. Do you know that newborns are born with the sense of touch. So this is something that they crave whenever they are born, because they are born with that. That's the first sense that they have. So if we can get the information into the parents' hands, if we can get the information into early childhood teachers' hands and directors' hands and principals' hands, a lot of these developmental issues or a lot of these social issues that we have can be prevented or can be caught at an early age. And then we can give that child the tools that they need. And whenever I talk about tools, I'm talking about some mindfulness, some practice activities, some challenges to give to the kids so that they know how to react when and if that situation comes. We're talking about emotional development, social development. What happens if I'm stuck with a decision that I have to make? I don't want to do what my friends are doing. I don't feel right about it. But how do I tell them that? Or do I just keep my mouth shut and go along with them and do it anyway? And then I feel guilty because I know that I did something wrong. Or can I have the courage to stand up for myself? All of this stuff starts at a very, very early age. And so we have things like challenges kits. We have life journals. We have all kinds of activities that are good for kids, but also good for adults. Mindfulness is one of them. Conscious discipline is one of them. If we want to have a positive spin on how we are able to help our children, we need to have a different mindset. And so when we talk about teaching children in a happy and healthy way, we're talking about research-based science. What is conscious discipline? What are the early childhood standards? When we talk about special needs, what does that mean to us as parents and teachers and adults? And how do we fit all of this into our day? How do we do project-based learning and inquiry-based learning, which is now all tied in with PYP, MYP, the IB type of schooling? How do we connect our child as a whole person? How do we connect both sides of the brains? The brain. How do we connect both sides of the brain so that they can learn to use all of what they have and create more tools? But they cannot create tools if we don't have tools to give them. So that is why I offer workshops. That is why I offer trainings, the whole brain child. We offer trainings on conscious discipline. Conscious discipline. What does that mean? What does it mean to consciously discipline? It means to be encouraging. It means to give choices. It means to be perceptive. It means to have unity, give attention, free will. The only person you can make change is yourself. You cannot make anybody change. And we as adults think that we can make our children change. And then they grow up being very discouraged sometimes or very withdrawn sometimes. And this is not a healthy way. We need to understand that we cannot make them change. We can allow them to have choices. We can give them the benefit of the doubt. We can teach empathy. We also have consequences. There has to be consequences in early childhood. If you have no consequence, then what keeps you from behaving the way that you want to behave? You know, what keeps me from not going to work? If there's no consequence for not going to work, if I still have everything, I still get paid, I still, have no negative thing on my record. I won't go because there's no consequence. So when a child has no consequences for their actions and their behavior, then why should they change? Why would they want to change? If all I have to do is throw a fit or ask for something and then throw a fit and I get it, then why change that behavior? And we as parents and adults, we struggle with this a lot, especially teachers, because teachers only have that child for a few hours a day. Parents have that child for the rest of the day. The first teacher of the child is the parent. There's not a divide between parenting and teaching. It is all the same. It is all the same. And that's why I have written the child development books for every stage from birth to age 5. And in it are the national standards. So I do a training on this so that you will know exactly what they should be doing at what age and why they should do it. It is also a journal. Okay, so you take notes in this and you say, okay, demonstrates fine motor strength, control, and coordination. This is under physical development and health. So they can run, they can kick, they can jump. Right, we went to the park on this day and they played ball and they played soccer. And, it's a journal, it's a keepsake book, but it's also a way to keep up with what they can do and what they cannot do. And if you finish this book and they reach age 5 and you have some blanks, you know what you need to go back and you need to work on. If there are some questions, okay, so they're 5, but yet they can't use scissors. That's fine motor. Using scissors should start at age 3. So if they have reached age 5 and they still have that blank space for fine motor skills, then we know either they didn't get enough practice or there is a developmental problem somewhere that we need to look at. The same with age 4. I have all of the books. All of the books are a journal, a baby book, if you want to call it a baby book. In the States, baby books and journals and those types of things are a big deal. Matter of fact, this was written because in the United States, we have to do records every month on every child that's in our classroom going through the stages. So I wish I would have had a journal like this whenever I was starting out in preschool. Now, the other thing that is in the book, of course, are places for notes, but also ways you can help your child. Autism signs. Is there a delay? So your child at 4, your child at 5, your child at 8 months. So what can they do? What can they not do? That's why keeping a journal and keeping a baby book is very important. It's also important that we use rituals and that we have connections and that we promote these things with our children. So in conscious discipline, we have little I love you rituals, just little connections to let them know that we are here and we are connected with them and we will help them and we will do everything in our power to keep them safe. Now, some items I've been working on for the kids in an educational way or just in a fun way, as I've been putting together little journals. They can be personalized, they can be different, but they are original. But inside, I've been putting, this one is for drawing a picture and writing a story, especially if you go outside. You spend a lot of time outside in nature. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel? What did you taste? Use your 5 senses and create a record of what you've done. And you can do this with little kids through storytelling. They can draw a picture and then they can tell you about the picture, and you can write it down here at the bottom what they said. It doesn't matter if it's in English or Chinese. It's their story, and it's something that they can keep. And then we have just journals of the kids love colored paper. They love to draw and draw and draw on the colored paper. So we have just a drawing book. This paper, we actually is for pre-kindergarten kids. This is what they learn to write on in the United States, these big lines, so that they have plenty of room to see what they're doing. And so this is just a writing journal for them to begin their writing. And so that's that. This one is just another picture journal, a picture with a story. And then this big full-size journal is just filled with this brown paper that is good for writing or drawing. So this could be a sketchbook, it could be a writing book, it could be a journal for yourself, for your teenager, anything like that. Also, kids love felt. They love to make felt stories. The problem with making felt stories is that when you use little bitty pieces, you tend to lose the felt. So what I did is I put it in a frame because kids love to see their work displayed. You should display all of your children's work. It doesn't matter whether it's just a scribble on a paper. It gives them intrinsic feelings, and it lets them know they are valued. So what I did is I put it in a frame as a picture, but you can take it out of the frame and the kids can change it all, and then you can put it back in the frame and they have a completely different picture. So we have this one, and it's kind of nighttime because, you know, the black background. And then this one is kind of an Easter one because, you know, it is April, but it doesn't have to be Easter. They can manipulate all of the shapes again and make it into something completely different. Also, there's a lot of different sizes and shapes, so they can sort. They can sort the sizes, they can sort the colors, they can sort the shapes. A lot of educational value, especially if you're doing Montessori education. The other thing that is good for kids who are at home, or if you're doing center time, children have to know how to sequence, and they have to know how to tell stories, and they have to understand rhyming sounds before they can ever learn to read. So this one goes with a book called Snowman at Night. What happens first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. And all of the pieces are in the little package, and so it's ready to go. And this is part of the library checkout program, or you can actually, if you like it enough, you want to keep it. But the thing about folder games is that they are good, but then the kids grow out of them, and then you have these folder games and you don't really know what to do with them. So that's why we put them in the library, where you can borrow them, you can keep them, or you can use them and send them back. So we have a lot of sequencing. First, second, third, and fourth. What stages does the tree go through? It loses its leaves. Kids also need to know the sizes and shapes and things like that. So we have the shadow matching. So they have to match it to the shadows. This is actually a very, very important milestone for the kids to go through. It gives them spatial recognition, and all of the pieces are in here. This one is a step up from the shadow matching because the shadow gives them the whole thing, but this one just gives them the outline. So this is a step up First you do the shadows and then you do the outlines. We have so many more folder games. The other thing that we do is we put all of our books are now in English on one side and Chinese on the other side. Oh, well, Chinese on the other side. I don't know how. This is my this is my printing copy. This is not the actual copy. But anyway, this one is a positive intent story, because if you've studied conscious discipline, you know that you can put a positive spin on bad events to allow your children to start making better decisions. So this one is about COVID. Dear Mom, COVID sucks. And I asked my daughter if this title was appropriate, and she said it was more than appropriate. So I left it as is. Dear Mom, COVID sucks. But it's a positive intent story. And it's about Melanie, who is 16 years old and stuck at home. And at 16, they're learning to drive. They have prom. They have all of these dances that they go to. They have friends. So how does she get to the point where, okay, I'm not so angry anymore? Okay, there are things I can do. I can choose to make it into something positive, or I can choose to continue to stomp around the house and be angry, which does no one any good. So, this one is the new one. And the old one that we had, Miguel's New School, has been also translated. So one side is in English. One side is in English, and then you flip it over, and the other side is in Chinese. And we can print these ourselves now, so they are not so expensive. Anyway, we also do art. Art classes for the kids, creative writing to make their own books, story time, book club, and then for the parents and the adults, we have the trainings and we have the seminars. And so we have a lot for you for early childhood, but it's not just the little kids that need it, because once we learn it as adults, we help our kids. So we learn first, and then we share with our kids. Anyway, I hope this has helped you to understand just a little bit better about what we're about and why we focus on early childhood, when actually what we're doing is we are combating the adult problems. But it all starts with early childhood. So once we understand ourselves and how it relates back to the way we were raised, then we can change it for our children that we have, whether it be the classroom or the home or both. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And if you need anything, you can just reach out. Ashley is my admin now. So she does all of the stuff that takes a brain, because my brain is getting old. And she is also learning. So as I teach you, she is also taking classes. So that way she can carry on what we've started. So I try to do the creating and the games and the trainings and the research, and put it all together for you. And as my admin, she will answer your questions. She will ship everything out. She will be able to take orders. And if you want to check anything out from the library, she's the one who will go and gather all of the things and either ship it to you if you're not in Qingdao, or be at a place to meet you to hand it off, since everything is shut down. And That includes the library. So everything is mobile and virtual now. Anyway, I wish you well and you have a good day. Bye bye.